Well, hello folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up that screen. Oh, mighty Ilus. And is Ilus beating the shorts? And we're going to get into this. This is not going to be a terribly long video, so don't worry, I'm not going to talk on and on. But this is pretty important because this stock's been getting manipulated. And let's talk about the market and I'm going to talk about the market itself as well. That is affecting this type of stock. As you know, we've been kind of dipping into a recession because of high inflation, high gas prices, and interest rates that are increasing, which is probably going to pop the real estate market or that bubble that's there. I mean, houses shouldn't go up 80%. They just really shouldn't, not in 12 months or 18. And so I think that bubble's going to get popped. But really, the entire market's been hammered. And I'll show you this, and it really explains it perfectly. This is a chart of the S&P 600 small cap. These are all the small companies, and that represents pretty much the micro caps as well because they've all been hammered. Now, granted, this isn't going to be a great representation of a penny stock that's maybe losing its butt, but you know, realize Ilus is a profitable company, so I think this kind of gives us a pretty good idea. But as you can see, it's down to the lowest level it's been since the Rona or the height of the fear, and almost as low as the 08, really the crash of a generation, and that's when we had our first real estate bubble. But that bubble was very different. This one's not going to be like that. This was a situation where you had tons of people who had loans that there was no possible way they could pay them, and then on top of it, they all had variable interest rates. And when those skyrocketed up, all of a sudden their $1,500 a month payment went to $3,000, and they were creaked. So that's a very different real estate bubble than we're in today. I just think we'll see some values pull back some to a little bit more reasonable number. But again, like I say, I don't see this getting much lower because it's talking about a P ratio down to 10. You know, that's really getting down to a super low number for the small caps. And that's going to represent your micro caps on some level. And I see Ilus sort of being in that area. And as you can see today, Ilus is popping up real nice. It's up almost 10% today. And it bounced off this 7.5 cents. And now it's up to almost 10 cents. So that's a pretty nice recovery. And this, when it went from here, and remember, when it went from 10 cents down to 7, that didn't make any sense. There was no news out there that would have made this stock drop 30%. This was pure manipulation. And what I mean by that, look at this, look at these short ratios, 55%, 50, 54. That means more people are selling in this market those days than are buying. So that's going to push the price down. All right, but understand this is short volume. That's very different selling. And I want to talk about this for a minute. If you're new to this and you don't know how shorts work, or whenever I talk about shorts, you're like, what is this? Some sort of boogeyman, you know, that just shows up and fights us? No, what this is a lot of swing and day traders. And what they do when they short a stock is they borrow a stock from somebody that's holding it long term and they pay them a percentage. You know, it may be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever percentage. So that person that's got that stock long term, let's say somebody's holding Ilus long, they're getting paid to let somebody borrow that stock. Now realize they've got to give that stock back at some point. But what they do when they borrow it is they run off to the market and they sell every one of those shares very quickly. And that's that ratio that you're seeing there. When you see 50, 60% short volume, that's them selling those shares. That's not somebody that's panicked and, oh my gosh, I'm getting out of Ilus. This is terrible. But what they want you to do is think that. They want you to think everybody's selling Ilus and we better get out, so that you get panicked and you sell as well. That pushes down the stock. Well, how does that help them? Very simple. What they do later on is they buy that stock back at a lower price. They already sold it here and they buy it back here. That whole difference, that's their profit. Okay, and then they take that stock and they run back over to the original owner and give it back. And all they had to do was pay a little percentage, and they got to keep all of that for themselves. So it's a manipulation, and they're involved in it. And understand, there's nothing wrong with it. It's legal. But, you know, it's pure manipulation is what it is. And it's what day traders look, it's what they do. You know, just understand that. But that's what's going on with it. And I think that's what caused that 30% drop, because nothing else, there was no bad news on Ilus whatsoever to cause that. So that's how I see that. That's my opinion, but I mean, I'm looking at the numbers. So like I say, you know, it's coming back up. I'd like to see it hit this 10 cents right here and stay above it and break through this, because this could form a little bit of resistance. And believe me, the day traders are watching this very closely. And again, why it's going up, they're having to buy back in. Okay, they've lost money on that short the last few days, so they've had to buy back in, and that pushes that up. And then some other people are buying Ilus as well. And I was looking at Eigel's Twitter, and he's the fellow that's been doing a lot of that due diligence. I actually showed you some of that in my last video, if you'll remember, and I'll show it to you again. But Eigel just said that he had bought. Now he says, you know, he never advises and does anything like that, but he just showed where he had some orders filled, so he actually bought today. And one of the reasons people are excited is because of the reverse merger that appears to be happening with Wsft, which is underneath ERT, which is underneath Ilus. And Ilus owns all of that, 100% of ERT and over 70% of Wsft. And here he showed the picture of the company Quality International that it appears they're going to be reverse merging with. And it showed the picture on ERT's front cover of their website, and then the picture of that company. And as you can see, it's identical.
Identical.
That's right, identical. And I think that makes me feel pretty comfortable that that's the company. We don't know that 100%, but boy, it looks pretty obvious to me. And WSFT is up about 11% today, so that's a nice little jump. And this really isn't market sentiment, because last time I checked, the market was actually down a little bit. This is just the companies themselves. And I would sit here and I'd work on this chart for you and kind of show you some resistance and support and all that. But this company's so new, there's no lines I could put in here that would matter that much. I mean, I could put in one right here that's real close to these two. They don't touch, so there is a gap there. There really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that would be your support, I guess, would be right in that neighborhood, which would be, what's that, around 20, 21 cents or somewhere in there. And then your resistance would be, I guess I could throw that in there, and that would be 39 cents. But again, this is such a brand new company that I'm not comfortable with these lines really being that meaningful. And you've got a ton of manipulation with WSFT as well. As you can see, it's been as high as 60%, and that's when it pulled down a little bit, and now as high as 42. So this is a day trader's dream, this WSFT. They're loving it. And realize, too, it's got a small float, and the smaller the float, the more they can manipulate it. So this one's going to be day traded like crazy, and understandably so. They can make money on this stock. All right, folks, and like I said, I just wanted to do a short video on Ilus today. I just wanted to show you that, you know, what the shorts are kind of about on Ilus and what's going on there. You know, just give you an idea how that works. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover Ilus. And if you haven't subscribed yet,
What are we waiting for? Take this!
that's right. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Anyway, I hope you did like the content, and we'll see you next time on Mr. Frugal Investor.